This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the Sports Zone.
Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hope you're all having a tremendous day. Bill Armstrong will join us coming up here in just a moment. In fact, he is with us right now, the general manager for the Utah Hockey Club, kind enough to hang out with us for his weekly conversation. Bill, how are you?
Hey, Bill.
I'm doing great, gentlemen. How you doing today?
We're doing great. Is this, I had a college basketball coach that I work with in the games that I do, calls January the dog days of January. Is there a dog days in the NHL where, you get the first part of the season going and then you got the last stretch in front of you, but you're just kind of stuck here in the middle? Is that a thing?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, for us, it's pretty exciting, though. Like, I would say the dog days are probably like, they're somewhere in February,
Okay.
End of February. But for us, every game is we're living and dying, in the fact that we want to stay in the race, so every game is huge for us. And, I felt like we're, every game is life or death. So the boys are dialed in and ready to go out there and fight. So it's been pretty exciting. And let's be honest, we got great fans. So anytime we can play at home, it's sold out. It's a great environment. People are going crazy. Like, how could you not want to play hockey in the middle of January in Utah?
Oh, man, it's such a perfect fit. This is a perfect fit. I was actually in Pittsburgh this weekend, Bill, and got over to a Penguins-Senators match, and it was really ugly. Senators were up 5-0, first period and a half, and they were up 5-0. And for the first time ever, I had not seen this in person, but they pulled the goalie. Is that a common thing where you pull a goalie?
Well, if your team plays bad enough, yes.
Is it common? Does that happen often, or is it the same as?
What happens in the middle of the game is like it's sometimes not the goalie's fault, but there needs to be a change in momentum, and sometimes the way that the coaches do it, it's almost relief for the guy. He's not going to get beat up. Instead of being 10-0, it's 5. Maybe it's not his night, and you bring in the next guy and see what he can get done. And sometimes the momentum shifts you, and you get the win. And it's great when that happens. Obviously, then that's a good coaching call. But goaltending is it's fickle in the NHL. It's they get a lot of pressure on them, and it's a tough position. And some, those guys have the good ones have really short memories to bounce back quick. But sometimes you do have to make a goaltender change right in the middle of the game.
Speaking of tending, Connor Ingram back. Talk about his first time back in net and what you guys saw from him.
Well, he played a great game. It didn't end the way that we wanted to. But what we loved about his game is to compete. He's just a smart goaltender. He's a great goaltender. So, you feel pretty good about our team as we move down the stretch and trying to stay in this race for a playoff spot, that you have two guys kicking at the same time that are very capable and great goaltenders in the NHL. So, it gives your team a good, really, really good vibe. Just about moving forward with the rest of the year, knowing those two guys are ready to go, and you can use either one of them any night.
Also coming back off injury, it's likely that Marino's back in the lineup coming up this week. What does he bring to this team when he's healthy and back out there?
Well, it's for him. I'll announce this here today. He's gonna play tonight.
Yeah.
Unless anything, unless he's crossing the street and gets hit by a car, I believe he's going to be in the lineup tonight and everything. So hopefully that moves forward. But he's going to give us a chance to be stable, really kind of solidify our D-core, and then we still got Jersey ways away, but coming back very shortly. So we're excited about the opportunity for him to come back in the lineup tonight.
Great, man. That's great news. I was wondering, as a general manager and, a guy that's been through a lot of different stops and seen a lot of work in the NHL, when you see an old stop on the schedule coming up here in a few days, do you look at that one different, Bill, or do you have a weird feeling that the old crew's coming into town, or is it just another game to you?
Well, it's kind of no. I mean, yeah, that's a great question. They used to be my friends.
Yeah.
We did great things together, and now I just don't feel that they like me as much. Is that a fair way to
That's
say
very
that?
fair. It's very fair.
I used to go in there, hugs and everything, and then we started beating them every once in a while, and less emotion and less happiness to see me,
And you wouldn't have it any other way, would you?
And I wouldn't. No, you're right about that.
I had a good relationship with the general manager with the Indianapolis Colts. He was the guy that gave me my chance, and he kept me on roster. His name was Bill Polian, and fantastic GM. And I had a really nice relationship with him. I could talk to him a little bit, and I felt like he cared about me because he kind of put his neck out there as a free agent and gave me an opportunity.
Yeah.
What's it like trying to manage these relationships with these guys that you've got to manage, and you've got to be smart, and you got to make tough decisions? How hard is that?
It's I don't know. I've always felt like in this day and age in the NHL, like back in my day, the GMs wouldn't really talk to you. I mean, they just got on, gave you the look, like, hey, you better be ready to play tonight. There was no communication, and nowadays it's not like that. I think to be a really good GM in this league, you've got to have great communication. There has to be a trust between you and the player, and you've got to honor your word, and make sure that you make a great environment for them to be at their best, And I think, you can have a great relationship. It's almost like a father and son relationship where you look out for them, you help them navigate, you hold them accountable. Sometimes you got to give them a pat on the back. Sometimes you got to yell at them. So, there's a lot of different ways you got to continue to motivate to get the most out of them. But I do feel like you have to have a relationship with every player, and some of them are different. But you do have to have a relationship, and the first thing it starts with is trust.
You talk about that relationship sometimes as a general manager and for Coach Tierney as well. You guys are not just front office guys, but you're also psychologists and psychiatrists too. And when you have a guy like Dylan Guenther dealing with an injury, with all the work that he's put in to have this kind of season and go down with that injury for a period of time, how do you try to make sure his mind stays right so that when he does get back out on the ice, he's ready to go?
Well, he's a young man that cares a lot, so you got to look out for him, make sure he's living the right way on and off the ice, and make sure that you're providing the best care to get him back. And, continually talk through the injury. Like I try to stop by, and talk to those guys every morning and just make sure that they know we're there, we care. Is there anything we can do for them? And how's the process going of healing up? And I think that's an important relationship you build with your players. I mean, there's times like you talked about when you're a psychologist where you can feel your team tense, and the last thing they need for me is to go through the dressing room with the frown. I try to loosen up the room a little bit and make sure I have good relationships where, I'm talking to those guys. I mean, there's time to be serious. There's a time to joke around. And there's a time to make sure that they know that you care about them. So I think you just have to have that experience to know when and what to do with them. But it is important that they get to know you and you get to know them. And that's why I love the mom's or dad's trip or mentor trip. You get to learn a little bit more about the player and a little bit more insight of their life. So, but yeah, it's just I think this day and age, and especially with our guys, we like our players. They're good. They're not only good on the ice, but they're good off the ice, and they've got to be role models in the community. And it's for us, it's their family.
One guy that continues to catch my eye almost every time I turn on a game or come out to the ice. I'll be out at the ice tonight. Excited to cover this one in close in person, but is Michael Kesselring. And I know, 16 points, and he's one of the top defensemen, but he catches my eye. Has he outperformed some of your expectations? And just kind of give me a breakdown of what Michael Kesselring brings to this team.
Well, he's a huge piece to our team, obviously, especially with the two injuries. We had Lamoureux, Marino and Dursey all on the right side out, and he was kind of the guy that stepped up, at the start of the year was, hey, listen, he'll be in this role. And then soon enough, all the injuries, he was up on a higher level and a higher role. and he's jumped into that and done a great job. And he's still young. You know, he makes mistakes at times, but what we love about him is just his size, his ability to skate. He's a transporter of the puck, and you know he'll lay it on the line. He'll stick up for teammates. He'll block shots, and he's just been someone that stepped up. You know, when we needed him, he's allowed us to stay in the race with his play, and he's produced. So there's a lot of good things about Michael Kessering, and you know he's a young man that's still got some more growth ahead of him, and we look forward to his impact that he can have every night in our team.
Bill, always a pleasure. Enjoy this one, and look forward to catching up. We got a nice homestand. You got some of the original six rolling in here, Montreal, the Rangers, St. Louis. I mean, this is an honor for you to host these guys, but also to introduce some of the legendary teams of hockey to the fans here in Salt Lake.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It'll be a good challenge for this team and see if we can pull out some wins at home.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Thanks, gentlemen. Great talking to you.
You got it. Bill Armstrong, one of our favorite dudes on the planet.
Does Kessler hit your eye?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I feel like he's always
there.
Always in it.
Yep.
He's always in the mix. He's always doing something to
well, if you want to
cause a disruption when the other team's got possession. He's just tough.
You know, if you want to equate it to the guy like I'm trying to think of a good NFL guy, like a Troy Polamalu or somebody that's always around the action.
Yeah.
Whether he's making the tackle himself or the interception, or he's there to clean up, or he's just in the vicinity. Like, the guy is always around. You know, when something good happens, he's in the vicinity, either making it or helping make it happen.
He's there.
He's there. Yeah.
The other point that I wanted to make, and we talked to Bill just a little bit about it, Connor Ingram back on the ice as a goalkeeper for the first time in a bit. And he had a 94% save against the Islanders. He had 32 saves on the night. So 32 saves. He did give up the 2 goals, but 94% save rate. And it's nice to have Connor Ingram back because I do think it gives you some depth in rotation. And I think that Vejmelka probably made a lot of people happy with the way he was playing, but I got to imagine even he's happy to have Ingram back.
Yeah. I mean, you got 2 healthy number 1 guys.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that those guys can play well off each other and save rates can skyrocket and they can be the catalyst to get this Utah Hockey Club into the postseason.
I just want one series. I just want it.
Yeah, I do too.
I want these players and this organization to just see, because, I mean, I'm watching the Jazz game the other night, and you would think this team at that point was a 9-win team. They got the win and, got to 10. But you look at the crowd shots, the place is still packed.
Yeah.
The place is still passionate. The place is still going nuts for the Jazz, which if Washington was having this season, if Oklahoma City was having this kind of season, if, go name your team, that place would be half empty, would be 3/4 empty. I've been to some games around the NBA. I went to a Wizards game when the Jazz were back east, and it was like nobody was there. Felt like a WNBA game, for crying out loud. I'm not throwing strays here. I'm just saying, like, it was just nobody was there. And to see what this city is like when it comes to sports, and even though you may not have a team that's performing up to their, up to what you would like to see on a year in and year out basis, the place is still packed. It's still an event. And for this hockey team to come here and experience a passionate fan base and then see what it's like when the playoffs roll around, even if it's for one series, even if it's just for 4 games, I don't care. I would love to see a playoff-like atmosphere in downtown Salt Lake City again.
Yeah.
Just for a small amount of time.
I feel like they're close.
I do too.
They need to do some work. They're already 3 games through this 7-game homestand, and they're 1-2. And I kind of felt like they needed to come out on the winning end of this homestand, possibly a 4-3. And I know that they're taking on a really tough Montreal team, and I know that this is kind of a stacked schedule. They opened up the homestand against last year's Stanley Cup winner, Florida Panthers, and they put up a good fight. But I'm hoping that they can get this win against Montreal. But as you mentioned, Montreal's tough.
Yeah, very tough. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Love the hockey. You're going to be out there tonight. We got a lot of opportunities to get you out to hockey. Just keep listening. I hope people are enjoying this first season.
Hey, by the way, one other note, because Bill did mention it specifically on this show, John Marino, one of their primary defensemen, is back in the lineup. So that's great news.
Absolutely huge. And I keep hearing different things in terms of Dursey. Bill said kind of end of season, but does that mean like the end of season? He's being a little bit more vague about it. Some people,
last quarter of season?
Yeah, exactly. Like when could we see Dursey back out on the ice? Because I think that would be absolutely huge for this team. If they're in the stretch run trying to get those extra 2 or 3 points needed to sneak into the playoffs, Dursey would be absolutely huge for that.
Because I think they're officially halfway through. Maybe just one game past halfway right now.
Yeah.
I think we're one game past the halfway mark.
But if you could get Dursey on the ice for the last 20 games, whew,
to make that final push.
Yeah. Be absolutely critical, especially when you look at that third line and how they've struggled from time to time. Yeah, it'd be big.
Well, if you can get there with a shot to start April, so if you move into April with a shot, you've got a 5-game homestand, April 1st, 3rd, 5th, 8th, and 10th, against Calgary, Los Angeles, Winnipeg, Seattle, and Nashville. That 5-game homestand, our crowd will make it. They'll make life miserable for every team that rolls through this ice. If they're still in it, that 5-game homestand might be their Alamo.
Yeah, the problem is that home just doesn't seem to be where they stack the wins.
I know. That was weird. They had that, what was it, a 7-game road streak win?
Yeah, and they were awesome. And now they get back at home and they struggle. And I talked to, we've talked to Bill about it many times and other people, and everybody's having a hard time really wrapping their arms around it. If you want to just look at the intangibles, these guys are playing in front of a real-life crowd at home for the first time. And so maybe emotionally they're wound a little tighter than they normally would be when they're on the road. I don't know, but something's got to give because this just doesn't make a lot of sense. They should be just destroying teams at home. If they can take that road performance that they bring night in and night out and bring that at home, holy smokes, you will have a playoff team on your hands. All right, Kyle Whittingham addressed the media earlier today. You will hear that coming up, part of the good, the bad, the ugly. We will get to that coming up next. Hans and Scotty, this is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to saddle up and talk about the winners and the losers. This is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the good.
It is the good, it is the bad, it is the ugly right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're going to hear from Kyle Whittingham, part of the good, the bad, the ugly. Before we do that, though, let's give away some Jazz tickets. It's a Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Caller number 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. That's 801-575-ZONE, and you'll win a pair of tickets. See the Jazz take on the Hornets coming up tomorrow night, January 15th at the Delta Center. All right, Hans. Kyle Whittingham addressing the media. I don't know. Lloyd didn't say anything. Do you think we have an okay or all right here?
If we do, it's a subdued all right.
Yeah. Probably not. This isn't where he just sits down and takes over. It's more of a press conference-y feel. So I doubt we'll have an okay or all right. But here we go. Kyle Whittingham from earlier, just about 90 minutes ago, addressing the media.
30 altogether, 30 new faces, scholarship players at mid-year. There'll be another 12 to 16 that we add in the summertime, which will make for a over 50% roster makeover or the additions. And so that's the nature of college football now. That's something that is going to be, as long as the rules are what they are, in place. We did have an exceptionally large senior class based on the last several years, so that added to the turnover as well. But we're pleased with what we got out of the portal. Thought we had a net positive portal experience during the time it was open. Feel really good about the new hires on offense and what they bring to the table. Jason Beck, our offensive coordinator, excited about his schemes and his energy and what he'll bring. And then Mark Atawaya is our new running back coach from Washington State and has proven to have a lot of energy as well. You may have seen a couple posts that he made in the recent last 3 or 4 weeks. And then Micah Simon will coach our receivers. And so that is the change in the full-time staff. We've also had some analyst changes and so forth, but those are the changes with the full-time guys. So that being said, what questions do you have?
Go ahead.
Hey, Kyle, can you talk about your quarterback situation with Devin Dampier and Isaac Wilson coming back? And still haven't really heard from Cam Jonathan, but
Yeah.
where does your quarterback room stand?
It's almost a complete makeover. Isaac is the only scholarship quarterback that's returning. He tested the waters, the portal waters, determined that he wanted to be here when all was said and done, so we were excited that he decided to return. Devin Dampier obviously is a big addition for us, coming from New Mexico, same place obviously that our coordinator came from, and so knows the offense inside and out. And we have 3 other QBs that scholarship QBs we've added to the room, and so we feel like we're in good shape. Now that being said, we felt like we're in good shape last year and ended up being on our 5th guy by the end of the season. So you got to hopefully stay healthy, and that'll be a big key. But the 2 big makeover rooms were the QB room and the running back room. Complete overhaul in the running back room. No returners, all brand new guys. So we like the guys that we brought in, obviously. So we'll see how they fare in spring. 4 of the 5 new running backs are here now. We'll have 1 addition in the summer, and then we'll find another one. We need to get to 6. That's our budget for running backs. Yeah.
Tom Lawson and Calhoun, those guys would have been starters on defenses, presumably, if they returned. But they didn't. How much did NIL play into it?
The absolute overriding factor was NIL. There's no doubt about it, in my opinion. And Cam ended up at a school in the Southeast Conference. Just like last year, he was in that rotation. And Keanu was a very good player for us last year, but they both felt that it was made more sense to move on for their own reasons. But NIL is something that was certainly in the equation.
Kyle, looking at what Jason Beck did last year in New Mexico, what does he do on offense in terms of schemes and philosophy that kind of meshes with what you want to do here in Utah?
Yeah, well, it's more wide open, more spread formations, a lot of Q run game. Not quite as much implementation of the tight ends, although that being said, Jason is a really good judge of talent, who to use, getting the most out of each guy and tweaking things to fit the personnel, which is really critical, in football, obviously, is to play to the strengths of your players and not try to put a square peg in a round hole, and that's something that he's done a really good job of through the years.
Coach, a lot of the attention is on the players that left, but you held on to a lot of good players with NIL. What does that say about the support around the program and the program itself?
Yeah, we're doing what we can NIL-wise. It's always a challenge, and you always are wanting for more. I mean, that's, the discrepancy between most schools and some of the real upper echelon schools is dramatic. And it's, 5-6 times the amount of resources at some of those schools as other P4 schools. And so it's far from a level playing field, but we feel like we're able to hang on to the nucleus of our roster with a few exceptions. And, going forward with the rev share, that's, some people think that's going to level the playing field. I don't, because the other schools will still have pots of money coming from somewhere. So it's, I still don't think that's going to be the solution, but that's the direction we're going, at least in the near future.
A couple of years ago, you said that the top 25 would pretty quickly reflect the top 25 NIL.
Yep.
I'm wondering if a couple of years in, if that's what you're seeing. Are there tiers, when you say the upper echelon, are there tiers within the top 25, and what do those look like? Which is a long way of saying what should be a realistic goal for your team based on where you sit with that?
Yeah, we hear some schools have 30+ million of NIL resources, and some schools have, 5. And so that's, like I said, there's a big discrepancy. I'm not privy to everybody's NIL budget, so I can't tell you exactly, compartmentalized or in tiers, but I just know that the team that will ultimately win it, either Ohio State and Notre Dame, is both those are very, very well funded NIL-wise, to my knowledge. Again, I don't have the hard numbers, but just what you hear.
Kind of in the same vein of revenue sharing and NIL, obviously, when you have a smaller budget, I'm sure you have to kind of crunch the numbers a bit, choose what positions you want to go after. I'm curious from your perspective, how did you guys approach that this offseason in terms of NIL and revenue sharing? Was it a retaining philosophy? I mean, walk me through that.
Yeah, retention is your primary concern, but you've also got to have an influx of new talent, so it's not your only concern, obviously. We use an NFL model. The NFL, as far as weighted, the positions that are weighted, the more valued positions, and the more, the positions you sink more money into, that's the bottom line. We use that, on an Excel spreadsheet and had it all mapped out, and we adhered to that pretty close. There's a few discrepancies here and there, but for the most part, where the NFL is sinking their resources into position-wise, we followed that same blueprint.
You have to replace 2 starting defensive tackles. Do you feel like you can do that from within, or is that going to be a priority in the spring portal?
That's a question that will be answered through spring. We have 3 returners that we really like, and then 4 freshmen that we're going to get a look at. We won't get a look at all of them this spring. We'll get a look at 3 of them and see what they can do, and then make a decision after that, because the portal will reopen, the 15th of April, I believe it is. And so if we need, and that goes for every position, if there's a position that we feel needs to be bolstered or we're a little thin at, then we'll continue to shop the portal at that time, and we have some room in the roster to do just that. We will have room in the roster.
Coach, how do you go about reinventing sort of the way you establish your culture in the program at NIL?
Yeah, it's more challenging, obviously, with more guys new than returners in the fall. It's not quite as simple as it used to be, but we have a very strong culture here. The guys that are returning, it's up to them to educate, indoctrinate, the new guys into how we do things, and we have a certain way of doing things here, and we expect that to continue. But again, it's a little more of a challenge, but just because of the numbers that you're dealing with.
Coach, we'll ask Jason when he comes up here, but you expressed dissatisfaction in the throw game the last couple of years. Does he have more of a emphasis on getting those big chunk yardage plays downfield?
Well, we want to be very balanced offensively, and I think that's something that he's done a great job of, is being balanced in his offense. And to me, the perfect season is 3,500 plus throwing and 2,500 plus rushing. If you can get 6,000 yards in the regular season, that's 500 a game, and you're really humming. You're humming along, and so that would be ideal. Whether we get to that or not, we'll see. But they were pretty darn close to that in New Mexico last year, I can tell you that.
You said that Isaac's the only returning scholarship quarterback, which implies that Cam's not coming back. You know what his plans are?
I've talked to Cam a few times, but that is really up to Cam to divulge that when he wants to divulge what his plan is. But we've certainly had communication, and you don't see him on our roster right now, so that's can tell you some things right there. But I would leave that up to Cam to outline exactly what his plan is.
Kyle, I'm curious to talk a little bit about Devin Dampier and Wayshawn Parker.
Okay.
What have you seen from them on tape that can, I guess, spread your offense around a little bit more and do what you might have not been able to do last year?
Well, Devin is a true, in every sense of the word, dual threat quarterback. I mean, he's a terrific runner. He's a very good thrower. We expect to get his completion percentage bumped up a little bit this year. We think that'll happen just through maturity and familiarity in the system. But he's a guy that he was only sacked 4 times last year, and that wasn't because of stellar protection all the time. He is very mobile in the pocket, has great pocket awareness, and to be that's a remarkable stat to only have 4 sacks. And so we think that he's obviously the perfect fit for this offense. He is. I mean, he proved it last year, and so we're excited to have him continue doing here what he pick up where he left off from New Mexico.
What's the specific challenge in the running back room of carrying on your identity and culture been going on for 10, 15 years of kind of backs with that identity. No return backs and a new running back coach. What's the challenge there?
Well, we expect to continue to be efficient in the run game. I think coach at New Max was 250 yards or thereabouts plus a game. And I didn't answer your question about Wayshawn Parker. He is really a tough, physical running back, can run inside, can run outside, has great contact balance, breaks tackles, yards after contact, and he was just a freshman last year. I mean, he's got a big upside, and we're excited about what he can do, and saw a bunch of that on tape. And back to your question, I'm really old, so I forgot what you just said. What was your question? The challenge of the running back. Yeah. Well, we expect to, man, you get any water? Thank you. We expect to continue to be physical in the run game. That's been our calling card for a lot of years. And we don't, if you look at the numbers of coaches' offense through the years, then it's not a pass-happy, just throw the ball around the parking lot. It's very balanced, like I said, and relies heavily on the run game. And I'm sure he'll give you more, clarity on that when he talks.
Last one. Coach, can you talk about the potential possibility of Dorian Singer returning for 2025?
Yeah, that's being worked on. It's you got to have a case. You got to have reasons why. Much like the young man at Vanderbilt that got his extra year, and so Dorian would like nothing more than to return with us. I can't give you percentages or anything like that. I can tell you that it's in process right now, and we're trying every which way to see if we can get him one more year. I know the NC2A is talking about going 5 years to play 5, and if that is in fact adopted, what's the criteria as far as how it's implemented? Is it guys that just finished that didn't have all 5 years? Do they get to come back? Does it start with a new freshman somewhere in between? We don't know that, but the bottom line is we would love to have Dorian in the program for another year if we can somehow make that work.
There you go, Kyle Whittingham addressing the media. You're going to hear from Jason Beck coming up at about 2:30. His first media availability as a member of the Utah coaching staff. But there he's talking about the transfer portal, talked about NIL, so they have a formula. They stick with it. Very Excel sheet driven in terms of this is what we offer, these individual positions. This is where we go, and if somebody exceeds that, then we pat them on the back and say, congratulations, go get that money. But you're not going to get that here. Now, is that the right thing to do? I don't know. It's not my place to say, but at least they're sticking to the model, and that's where they're going to go with.
They're also going to stick to Jim Harding as the offensive line coach, but outside of that, your offensive coaching staff is completely different. Well, I guess Freddie Whittingham will stick around.
Yeah.
For tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Harding at offensive line, and then you got Micah Simon with wide receivers, Mark Yatawaya with running backs, and your new offensive coordinator is Jason Beck. And I've seen a lot of people downplay it and show disinterest or feel like Utah could have done better. What I would say about Jason Beck is he's an innovative offensive mind. So you're trying to find some cutting edge. You're trying to find a unique gift. You're trying to find something that's on the come up that you can get while it's on the come up. And I think that Jason is that guy. And Kyle Whittingham felt it too. And there's got to be a large party that trusts Kyle Whittingham. I get it. Offensive coordinators, maybe not so much. He's gone through a lot of them.
Yeah.
But he's hired a lot of really good coaches.
Well, and also, and we don't really have time for Morgan Scalley and playing that in its entirety, but I know I saw Alex back there. I think it was Alex that was cutting up some of that sound, Lloyd. If there's a cut available in which Morgan apparently was just effusive in his praise for Jason Beck. And Kyle Whittingham said Morgan Scalley would be a part of the interview process and the decision-making process. And apparently Morgan said, look, I followed this guy for a long time. The way he does his his offenses, the way he shifts guys around, the way he hunts mismatches out there, it's really difficult to prepare for his teams from a defensive coordinator standpoint. And that's what I wanted to see, and that's what he feels like he got, but was really over the top excited about bringing Jason Beck onto that staff.
Well, I'm excited for the prospects of it, and now it's just got to function right. Dampierre's got to stay healthy. The chips have to fall the right way for him. The more I think about Andy Ludwig, the more I believe that Cam Rising was his complete undoing.
Yeah.
And not because of how Cam Rising played, but not having something ready, more depth to whatever was going to potentially happen with the quarterback situation. And I have to believe that at some point, when Cam Rising was out, somebody looked at him and said, so your plan was a true freshman, which would have been fine if Isaac Wilson would have gone out there and lit up the world.
Yeah.
But he didn't. And so your plan was a true freshman. How sure were you on this one? Man, I felt really good about it. Yeah, it didn't go so well. You saw, didn't go so well? Yeah. So what was your plan? I mean, because you can't go rocking off 7 losses.
Nope.
And I think that was his eventual undoing. I don't think Jason Beck is considered a quarterback's man.
Yes.
I got to imagine that he'll learn from Andy Ludwig, and he's learned in the past. I got to make sure that I've got plenty of people. In fact, Kyle Whittingham, I believe, mentioned that he's only got one returning quarterback on scholarship in that presser, didn't he?
Yeah.
So Jason Beck's got a lot of work to do, and he's going to get it done. He's going to figure out what the quarterback situation is.
And here's Morgan Scalley talking about Jason Beck and how fired up he is to have him on the staff.
I'm always watching offense, and as a part of the offseason, I watched a ton of his offense, and I love it. You know, it creates problems for defensive coordinators for a multitude of reasons. The formations into the boundary, the shifts and motions, the QB run game, a lot of these things, changing personnel groups as you go throughout a series, all that, you know, causes defensive coordinators to really have to put in the work. And so I'm so fired up for this offense, for the quarterback coming in, Devin, and the QB depth that we have. So it's going to be interesting this spring going up against a new offense, because I love Andy and what he brought and his offensive scheme, but excited for this change.
So there you go. Morgan Scalley saying all the right things. But I think Morgan also knows that people know that he has skin in this game too. Like, he needs Jason Beck to be successful, because I don't think Kyle Whittingham signs off on Jason Beck if Morgan Scalley doesn't sign off on Jason Beck.
No, not a chance. Not a chance. That had to be a unified effort, because it's getting close. It's not here yet, but it's getting close. And, you know, the hope is that Morgan and Jason could stay together for a lot of years. I put out some of my Utah awards, the postseason awards, just stuff that I'd been working on for a while now. And there were a couple people wondering, well, what happens with the D coordinator spot when Morgan Scalley does end up taking the head coaching job, which I think is an interesting question. I think that you've got 3 guys that are extremely capable: Lewis Powell, Shree Shah, and Colton Swan.
Yeah.
So you've got really great options. Now you bring them in and you just see which one it is their full desire that this is what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how much interest Sharif Shah has in it. I do feel like Lewis Powell is ready.
I think Lou would kill it.
And I do feel like Colton Swan is ready.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in a pretty good defensive coaching situation that you've got some coordinators that you can hire from within, which has been their MO. And all the time Kyle Whittingham's been there.
Yeah.
You hire defensively from inside.
Yeah.
You don't bring an outside presence for defense.
Has Kyle ever done that?
Not in my time here in the state.
I mean, because John Pease had been in and had been out.
And that was his guy.
Yeah, so I don't consider that an outside. No.
Peaser was his guy.
Yeah.
And Peaser was he was doing essentially what Gary Anderson's doing at
Yeah,
BYU.
that's right. He was still, yeah.
He was an analyst.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you go Gary Anderson, John Pease, Kalani Sitake, Morgan Scalley. That's your coordinators.
Yeah, yep, that's it.
Over nearly 20 years.
Mm-hmm. All right, 1:50, Whole World News next, and then David Locke joins us at 2:05. You'll hear from Jason Beck. his first comments as a member of the Utah coaching staff coming up at 2:30 right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
David Locke joining us.
Patrick Kinahan wearing a Notre Dame hat reminds me Notre Dame would be a team that you cannot front run on because Notre Dame fans are kind of like people that are vegan. So I'm playing golf and we're playing with this guy and we get to the fourth tee box and he looks at us and he says, "So it's nice to know you're not vegan." And we're like, "What?" He goes, "Well, we've been together for 25 minutes. If you were vegan, you would have told me by now." And Notre Dame fans are pretty much the same way.
I'm going to give him a pass. In this case, his dad is an Irish Catholic from Jersey and loved Notre Dame, and he says he watches Notre Dame, and he thinks of his dad who passed away a few years ago. People who say that, don't they always get a pass?
I mean, when you drop the "my dad's dead" part of the story, yeah, I really appreciate you making me feel terrible about myself this morning. Now my great energy, my excitement of being on with DJ and PK, all gone because I made fun of Patrick Kinahan's dead dad.
Oh, this is uncomfortable. Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Go! It's time to span the globe for the hard-hitting news you care about. Well, not really. But hey, at least we found it interesting. This is Whole World News on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We've got the whole world in our hands.
You got the whole world.
All right, time for another edition of Whole World News. David Locke will join us coming up in just a few minutes from right now.
This whole world story is ridiculous.
You even got Lloyd. Lloyd was really fired up about it.
Yeah, it's because it's so dumb. There are some real dumb people that live in this country, specifically in California.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, picture this. This is January 1st at 12:40 in the morning. Okay, so you're starting a new year. The calendar just flips over.
Yeah.
It's 12:40 in the morning. You get pulled over, and you've had a few to drink, and this is your interaction with law enforcement.
Hi. Hi. My name is Officer Bridgewater, Mayor of the Police Department. Today you're being stopped for a DUI investigation. Do you have your license on you?
I do.
Okay. Where are you coming from?
I was just dropping off my friend because I'm the DUI tonight, and I was dropping her off near the In-N-Out off of Temecula.
Okay.
And I'm heading my way back off of, Jefferson.
You're the DUI tonight?
Yes, sir.
Do you mean to say the DD?
No. Sorry. I had a beer and some champagne a couple hours ago, but...
I'm the DUI.
DUI tonight.
I was just dropping off my friend because I'm the DUI tonight, and I was dropping her off near the In-N-Out off of Temecula.
Okay.
Off of Temecula?
You know what? There's nothing better than being the DUI and coming from an In-N-Out.
He tells him at the end, he says, "So we're going to arrest you tonight." He's like, "Well, I'm only a couple minutes from my house."
I'm the DUI tonight.
I was just dropping off my friend because I'm the DUI tonight.
Yes, you are.
Are you sure, son? Yes.
Yeah.
It was predetermined.
That I would be getting the DUI tonight.
By me and my buddies, that I would be the DUI tonight.
All right, everybody here, who's going to be the DUI tonight? Draw straws. Oh, Bob.
You're the DUI tonight?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The way he said, "Yes, sir."
Yes, sir, I am. Well, yeah, yes, you are.
Well, the other thing that's funny, because this is off of the body cam, the chest cam, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's focused right on the kid's face. And the officer goes, "Do you mean the DD?" And the kid just drops his head like, "Oh, I've been caught." I don't know how you figured it out, but you
You mean to say the DD?
No, sorry.
He goes, and he just drops his head like, "Sorry."
But I did have some beer and champagne a couple hours ago, but I'm fine now.
Oh.
I had a beer and some champagne a couple hours ago, but...
But other than that, I'm great.
I couldn't imagine that's how you're kicking off a new year. It's 12:40 in the morning on January 1, and you're in handcuffs in the back of a cop car because you told an officer, "I'm the DUI today."
I'm the DUI.
Like, you never want to chance it. But New Year's Eve, they are looking.
Oh, yeah.
They are out to get
Guys
you.
like that.
Not even if you even even if you had a drum, doesn't matter. They're just out to get you.
Officer, look at me. Look at me. I'm the DUI now.
I'm the DUI tonight. Yeah, this is one of the more wild ones. That's Marietta Police Department that I'm sure have to deal with a lot of knuckleheads.
Just off of Temecula.
That in and out off of Temecula.
oh, that in and out. You know what? Go ahead and just go on your way. The in and out in Temecula. All right. You say you're the DUI tonight?
Hans and Scotty, David Locke joins us next right here on 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
I was just dropping off my friend because I'm the DUI tonight.